hell no. I ain't listening to this shit in my town. Freedom of speech my ass. Next they'll be wanting their votes to actually matter.
Sir, we're, rolling the video on your campaign speech right now?
Of course we are. Now I've heard word that some of you have been concerned about the growing crime rates we've been experiencing in the city. Wait, what city are we in?
Judging by the Statue of Liberty, I think we're in New York or something. Sometime in the 1990s, sir.
Right. The beautiful land of sometime in the 1990s or something. No, scratch that. We'll just call it something awesome, like Huggarsville. That's a good name. So in Huggarsville, our crime has risen and violence has erupted in the streets, and I have the perfect program that'll fix all these pesky problems. Huggar's Hugs! Vote for me. You see, the only thing that these lowlifes living in the street need is a little encouragement, a little motivation. Here in Huggarsville, sometime in the 1990s USA, we don't bother wasting all our tax money on prisons, rehabilitation centers, or communistic social service crap like those damn Republicrats want. We do it the good old-fashioned way, with hugs! Huggar's Hugs! Vote for me. See? Look how excited these little guys are to see a 300-pound man walking towards them with his massive hugging arms spread wide open and ready for some hugging action. They used to be slumming it in the streets, but look how up and active these guys are now. A little positive attitude adjustment is all it takes. Hug, hug, hug. Wait, what? Punches? Nah, them ain't punches. Those are mini hugs that you can do with your hands. Now, I know what you're thinking, but how do we keep convincing the public that we need all their tax money?
Sir, you're speaking to the public right now.
Of course we are. So you, the noble tax-paying people of Huggarsville, sometime in the 1990s, might be wondering how we're going to use the old social services cash flow to further grow other parts of the city. Well, for starters, I'll need just a small percentage of that cash as payment for my time and services to the city. Something like 85% or something. And the rest can be put towards funding great things that our city needs, like campaign ads for the current mayor. So just remember, if you see me in the street with a bunch of kids, it's not gang violence, it's Huggar's Hugs! Vote for me. Feel free to stand around and watch while I hug our city into a better place. I might even clean up some of the city's trash while I'm at it. Oh, root beer! At the end of the day, you can rest easy knowing that Mike Huggar is keeping your city clean. That's Mike Huggar, a man with hugging muscles so profound that not even several sticks of dynamite could faze him. Okay, cut the tape and blow out this fuse. No, blow out the fuse. Blow out the fuse! What on earth is the... Oh, I'm back. I lost signal there for a moment. Anyway, let's get back to Final Fight. As I was saying, Final Fight is our first entrant into the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre for the SNES. A Capcom port of the arcade version, Final Fight was originally intended to be a sequel to Street Fighter, but since gameplay is significantly different from the Street Fighter series, they decided to give it a different name. I mean, that makes sense. That at least explains why you get to demolish a car as a bonus level, and here I was thinking Final Fight just stole it from Street Fighter.
Oh my god.
The game takes place in Metro City, America, where the new mayor, Mike Huggar, has had his daughter Jessica kidnapped by the Mad Gear Gang in an attempt to blackmail him into being their puppet. Wait. Huggar, you have a daughter? Oh my gosh, tell me, she takes after you, right? Oh gosh, I can see it now. Huggar's chiseled face with long flowing locks. and whoa, that's your daughter? Okay, let's go get to saving her. While the Mad Gear Gang may have known that they could kidnap Huggar's daughter, something they might not have considered is the fact that Huggar is a 300-pound former street fighter who isn't afraid to take care of business in his town. So he, along with Jessica's slack-jawed boyfriend Cody, decide to go rescue her. Durr. Cody and Huggar will take care of business through 5 levels, starting with the slums, then the subway, then moving on to the west side of town, the Bay Area, and finally Uptown, ending in a final fight with some guy in a wheelchair called Belger, who I guess is the leader of the Mad Gear Gang. Giving Belger one final punch will knock him out of the window, ending his underground rule over the politics of Metro City and reuniting Huggar with his daughter, as well as reuniting his daughter with Cody. Not that we care about Cody, though. Now I'm going to spoil the ending of this episode and tell you that I do recommend that you play this game. As far as beat-em-ups go, it's got everything you need for the genre, packaged with bright-colored and interestingly designed characters and backgrounds. However, there are quite a few negative things about the game that you kinda need to know going into it before you play. Otherwise, you might find yourself getting frustrated or having a bad time. The first thing you'll notice is that this game lags a lot. There's a reason that only 3 enemies attack you at once. The game can barely handle 4 sprites on the screen at any given time, and anytime you have more because of barrels or items on the ground, the game sees heavy flickering and slowdown. To make matters worse, oftentimes while it's lagging, the game cancels out your button inputs for punching and jumping, which can lead to messing up your combos and taking unnecessary damage. The boss fights are fun, pitting you against just the kind of villains you'd expect to fight in a 1990s American action flick, but sometimes fighting them feels downright unfair. The game does not pity the underdog, and the moment you find yourself on your back is the moment that bosses and enemies alike will try and lock you into an inescapable combo. Enemies and bosses also tend not to telegraph their actions, meaning that a lot of their attacks just kind of happen. And if you don't know how to watch out for them and what to expect beforehand, you can find yourself suffering a lot. As for the playable characters Cody and Haggar, they do have a few moves at their disposal beyond punches, but for the most part, punching and grabbing is what you got. This makes fighting the enemies in the game pretty tough, because they range from surprisingly clever to downright annoying. Most of the enemies in the game have this frustrating AI, where they will back away from you if you are facing them, but the moment that your back is turned and you're preoccupied with something else, mostly punching their buddies in the face, they will jump in behind you and land a few hits. This often makes beating up the bad guys feel less satisfying than it should, because the fight is more or less dictated by the enemies, because they can just always dance outside your reach if they choose to. When I was a kid, my grandpa and I had this joke we had with each other, where he used to hold out his hand clenched in a fist and jokingly say, "Come here and run your nose into my fist." The sad truth is that in Final Fight, that exact strategy is your safest bet 9 times out of 10. You really do just want to stand there spamming the punch button and waiting for the enemies to walk into your fist. Almost every other beat-em-up game that I've played fixes this enemy dictation of the battle by allowing the players to dash, thus resolving the problem of the enemies dancing outside your reach, but this game lacks any kind of fast movement whatsoever. The worst part about this port, though, are the changes made from the arcade to the SNES. On their own, these changes don't make or break the game, but there are so many of them that they really add up. We've already mentioned that the SNES has far fewer enemies on the screen at once, and tends to lag at certain places, but that's just the beginning. 2-player is non-existent on the SNES, likely due to the aforementioned sprite limit. Guy, the 3rd character in the series, is just completely gone. He was the faster but weaker of the 3 fighters, and with him gone, your option for strategy in the game just doesn't quite feel as well-rounded as if it was when he was in it. Every transition from one area of a level to the next is completely removed, replaced by the game pausing and then fading in and out to the next area, instead of your characters going onto elevators or breaking through doors like in the arcade version. The industrial area level is also just gone. Lastly, as in the 1990s, America was much more sensitive to such things, a lot of the things in the game were censored for this port. Blood was removed, alcohol was removed, names were changed, and religious references were removed. I think the most interesting censor were the transsexual characters Roxy and Poison, whose sprites were completely remade to make them look like male punk rockers or something. In the arcade, if you didn't know they were transsexual, they pretty much passed off as chicks. I guess I understand that one, America probably wasn't really ready for that, but did you know that they also changed the graphics on Belger's chair? In the original it looked like a wheelchair, but here it looks like some kind of rocket recliner or something. I mean, why would they change that? Were they afraid that they were going to send a message that beating up old men in wheelchairs was cool? And wait a minute, did I just say rocket recliner? What am I complaining about? That's awesome! Overall, the game's core concepts and gameplay are good, because even though we have a very neutered version of it, it's a ton of fun to play. It may not be a perfect port, and I definitely wish it had 2-player mode and Guy, but getting to play the game like this in your home in the 1990s without having to feed it quarters every time you die has its definable advantages. I think what really made the game for me, though, was the backstory for Haggar. In almost every game I play, I always favor the smaller, faster characters over the big muscular ones like Haggar. But when I found out that Haggar was not only a former street fighter, but also a mayor of the town and a father, I felt like the character was too hilarious to pass up playing as. I mean, just what does Metro City think when their mayor is out in the streets knocking heads together? Oh, that's just Haggar beating up the kids again. Oh, just let him do his thing. We'll vote for him next year. Oh well, at least he looks more put together than that slack-jawed Cody. Day, I'm gonna go save my girlfriend. At any rate, this is SNES Legacy, reminding you to stay healthy by eating any and all food you find lying on the ground. Signing off.
my cup.